Welcome back to Built from the Bottom, and a whole lot has changed. We're in my new warehouse. So the story is, this bike is completely smoked. I sold it to one of my friends, and then he let one of my other friends ride the bike, and it was a mid bike. It was a 5,000 mile bike. It was running on E85. It had a full box exhaust on it. Bike would cook. He ended up smoking it on the highway, and I'm gonna show you the current state of the bike, and we're gonna be rebuilding it today. Check it out. It was a cool bike. It's about to be a cool bike again. I'm gonna start by removing this license plate bracket that's all bent up, and then trying to get this bottom tray removed, and then just kind of working my way around. Popped right out. This is absolutely nuts. Check this out. Look at that brake on that right there. And I'm actually going to pull this caliper off just so I can get the hardware off of it, and also this little piece right here that is for the ABS sensor, and then, you know, pull out this. So next thing I'm gonna do is remove all this stuff off the left side clip-on. See how that broke right there? It just broke right off, but no damage to the fork tube. Quite interesting. And also, I'm just gonna pop off the remaining part of this front stay and this steering stabilizer. Right, I got the steering stabilizer off. This is the new one right here. Every time I buy a GSX-R and it has front end damage, these always end up breaking off right here on this tab for the plug-in, and there's no way of fixing that. You cannot buy the individual sensor piece, so you have to buy a whole new steering dampener. You know, even though pre-owned, you know, these are kind of like a rare thing to break, so this is only $100, but still, it's kind of annoying that I can't just order that one, you know, $10 piece. I also saw that that is bent once I removed it. So I definitely, even if I only need to replace that, I still would have had to buy a whole new one anyways. I got a couple new parts in. I got the front stay right here. So the first thing I'm gonna be getting into is putting this front stay on, mounting up the gauge cluster. This is the one with the broken back. See how it's missing the tabs? Right here is our new back. And this was like $150, so, or maybe $70. I don't know, I'd have to go look at my notes. But this has a little bit of a scratch on the front of it, so I'm gonna see if I can buff that out and make it look pretty much new. Pop off the rear set, just two 6mm and then two 5mm, and then a little cotter pin on the back side of this, got to bend it around. Left side rear set, real simple, two 6mm. Loosen up these 10mm that hold on this bracket to the radiator, and then I'm gonna remove this oil cooler. And once I get the oil cooler off, I'm gonna remove the headers, because you can see right there, it completely crushed in. So this is all just gonna end up getting thrown out, this entire exhaust system. I got the headers off the bike, and this thing is crushed like a tin can or titanium can. Got the oil cooler mounted up there. I'm probably gonna have to take it off this bracket when I do headers on the bike. So I just want to get it up there so that I can fill this bike up with oil and whatnot, and just not have it leaking all over the floor. Now I'm gonna pull the stator cover off, pop the new one on there. See, we got a hole in it. Just a whole bunch of 8mm all the way around. Real simple, should take 10 minutes. I don't have the gasket for this, so it's just gonna kind of sit on the bike. This OEM header system on it, and there's like a lowering link on this bike, and then you see the cat hits it just so slightly that that won't line up with that bolt hole right there. So what I'm gonna do is kind of just put a piece of wood on this, hit it with a hammer and push it in, because I don't want to take out this lowering link, and it's just an OEM exhaust. It's not gonna hurt anything by just denting it in like by a ½ an inch right there, so this can all line up properly. Just got the headers on the bike. I just kind of slipped this thing on there. It's not really even secured on there yet. This is our little exhaust. This project's been moving around the warehouse and whatnot, so you tend to lose bolts when that stuff happens. So I'm missing one header bolt. Until I find that header bolt, I cannot mount up the radiator, because the only way to get to securing that last bolt that I need to hook in place is going to be with the radiator off. Well, you could do it with it on, but it just makes it way more complicated. So I'm probably gonna just put this front wheel on the bike, secure down this exhaust, and then right here, pop this thing on. So this goes on here like that. Couple little bolts, then you got your springs that hold this together. My OEM gasket for the stator cover, that's kind of just hanging on there. You can see it's leaking on the floor a little bit. And what's weird is, so this bike was tuned with E85, and that O2 sensor does not fit inside the OEM exhaust. Since we're taking it off at E85, I'm gonna be taking out this Power Commander 5, which just, ties into where the injectors, plug in. Cool halo taillight on it. Make it a slower unit, but make it cosmetically cooler. Front wheel mounted on the tire, haven't shown that. Here is the rear tail for the unit. I got all the rubber grommets put in, just so it all feels like OEM. 2 little plastic pieces there. Then you got 6 of these on it and 2 screws at the top end. So this is just gonna, and then this rear tail light is all wired in, which is just 3 plugs, real simple. I got my air rams here, and I have to tighten up this upper radiator bracket and then put these air rams in place. Then I can mount up my front headlight assembly. This just gets held in with a 10mm, but I gotta tighten that other one down first. I got the air temperature sensor plugged in here, and then there's a couple little plugs that just need to be assorted properly. This is the GSX-R or whatever, which has the lit up running lights right here. And when you get these fairing kits, they just come with a little plastic piece. So what happened is these ripped completely out of the plug on this side. So I cracked the assembly open, I rewired it, and then reassembled everything. So now, okay, so I can see that clips on there, that figures that out. Now we're gonna deal with kind of this wiring situation. Time to put the handlebar and the new left clip-on control, since this is all messed up. Got a new one right there in the box. Held on is a 1 7/16 on this, then 2 6mm bolts at the top. Also, when I do this, I'm gonna undo this 8mm bolt right here, and I gotta replace this because it's broken off there on the end. I have a new one right here. I do not like this gold cap. I will keep the OEM black one. Education. Yeah, it makes a little work out of something that could be a bit. Right here is a snap ring that holds in this little piece right here for your front brake reservoir. So I'm gonna pop that out, put this new one in, hook that up, slap some DOT4 brake fluid in there. The clip on the bike, and I also, this is the left-hand controls. So you run this wire through the backside. You got 2 clips in right here. It requires pulling off the air box to get to those clips underneath it. Gotta pop this thing back in, gets held in with 6 5mm Allens for the intake valances, and then, you know, a couple of Phillips screws holding the top of the air box. We're gonna piece that thing back together, and then I'm gonna put some coolant in the bike and pop this panel on. So I'm at my boy's shop. I actually sold this bike to Camilo months and months ago, and then he gave it to Cody, and Cody was the one that crashed it. So since I did not get this tire mounted up, I'm gonna bring it here and see if Christian can mount this wheel up for me, even though it does not have the bearings in. Yeah.
That's kind of sick. Dismount the rear?
Yeah, I'm gonna dismount
so
this.
You want to use those bearings?
I want to use these bearings and this tire. This tire is still fine.
What about the brake?
Yeah, we'll use the brake. It's all good.
I've never pressed bearings out of these before. Have you?
Yeah.
All right, money then.
I just didn't do it. I just kind of wanted to do it here.
Yeah, if you know how to do it. Here, just grab that one. I'll grab this one.
I got my final piece of the puzzle here, and it is my tank. Oh man, that thing. So it's the tank right here. I had Danny fix the bodywork on this section of it, and then he followed the lines, so it doesn't look like we just slapped on like a random white tank on the bike. So now I'm gonna hook this thing up. I already put my fuel pump assembly in it, hooked that up. I got the front cowl on properly. Gets held in with 4 5mm Allens, and then one up here, holding on the actual plastic piece. Put the gas cap on it. I'm gonna keep my OEM little plastic pieces here, swap this one out with the white thing, and then we got ourselves a finished unit. And this bike is looking real sweet. I love the way this thing looks. Alright, so the GSX-R is done. It came out absolutely sweet. I think this white, you know, I'm wearing all white, matching the unit. This all just looks completely great. I'm really happy with this. I put the dirt bike grips on it this morning, and they're red, which I thought, the red grips are gonna look kind of like cheesy with it, but it actually kind of matches that, and it kind of ties the whole bike together. I had that R1 with the red grip. The GP exhaust is looking not like a Chinese GP exhaust, even though it is. Turn signals are all wired up. I had to put on a new brake line that connects these two together because there's a hole in it. Yeah, everything on this bike's completely dialed in. Having a little bit of an idling issue, and that's, I don't know, I think fuel just needs to run through the unit, then it'll be idling just fine. So we're gonna swap over, get some rollers.